Disney's Beauty and the Beast is one of the most beloved and revered animated films of all time. It's got memorable characters, wonderful music, it looks great, it's just a classic. And it was even the first animated film to ever be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. That's just a testament to how great it is.
It also happens to be one of my favorite all-time Disney movies. Now, there's a live-action remake of it coming out soon, and I'm kind of at odds with it. On the one hand, it's Beauty and the Beast. It's perfect the way it is. It doesn't need a remake. But on the other hand, The Jungle Book was pretty good, and that was another childhood favorite. So, there's a ton of trailers out right now for the film, like tons of them. So let's take a look at one and let's see how it's shaping up.
Come into the light.
Hello.
You can talk.
Well, of course he can talk.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Master's not as terrible as he appears.
What the fuck was that? What have they done to some of my favorite animated characters of all time? Belle can't sing, Mrs. Potts and Cogsworth are horrifying, Lumiere is man-shaped. Why is he man-shaped? God damn it, Disney. You couldn't leave it alone, could you? You just have to make those big box office bucks. Isn't Star Wars and Marvel enough for you right now? I'm so mad. I'm even more mad that I'm probably gonna go see it anyway. God, I need to do something to take my mind off of this nightmare. I need to play some video games. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll play some video games. Maybe some Beauty and the Beast video games. There are quite a lot of them based on the Disney films. So, let's play some Beauty and the Beast video games. Let's start with Roar of the Beast for the Sega Genesis. Now, this was one of two Beauty and the Beast games released in 1993 by Sunsoft. This one was aimed more at boys because it stars the Beast, as opposed to the other one which stars Belle. And it's more of an action platformer instead of a puzzle game. So, let's pop this thing in and see how it plays. Finally, it is Sega's time to shine. I don't...
Apparently, the castle's under attack from enchanted animals, so the Beast has to punch the shit out of them. I don't know what's so enchanted about them. They're just bats, snakes, rats, and dog bear things. And they're kicking my ass. Holy crap! There are so many enemies on the first stage. You're just constantly taking hits. Jesus Christ! God damn it! Ugh! Even a fucking spider kills him? In the movie, he took on wolves and Gaston's fabulous biceps, so in the game, why is the Beast such a pussy? Well, you know what they say. You are what you eat.
I honestly can't beat the first level of this game. I know that I'm terrible at video games. I will be the first person to admit that. But I swear, this is one of the hardest first levels in any game I have ever played. How the hell were kids supposed to beat this back in 1993? It's ridiculous.
After game genieing your way through the first stage, you get to the first boss and... oh my god. What the fuck? Look at this bear! Look at this bear! Look at its goofy face! It doesn't even look like it belongs in the same universe as the Beauty and the Beast characters. Oh my god! This is my new favorite video game sprite of all time. After that, you go through Beast's room and avoid boars of some kind, and more fucking bats, of course. This stage is also tough, but it's a lot shorter than the first. That first stage goes on forever, even when cheating. Then you fight an even bigger boar that kind of looks like a cross between the Bigfoot from a Goofy movie and the Thing from Hercules. The whole point of this fight is to kill it before it gets to the rose and knock it over. Remember the part in the movie where the Beast fucking dies because a boar destroys the rose before Belle even gets there? I hope they put that in the remake. Then, what the hell? Some kind of puzzle? Okay, it's over. Thanks for that. Maybe this is what the Beast did for fun before Maurice showed up. After that, the actual story of the movie begins, and it's given in the most Cliff Notes way possible. The Beast discovers Maurice in the castle. If you haven't seen the movie, don't expect the game to explain who any of these characters are. I especially like when they mention Gaston rallying the townspeople against the Beast without even showing who Gaston is. I know that chances are, if you're playing this game, you've already seen the movie, but jeez, storytelling in video games has come a long way.
Man, I got really fat. I better jog around the park and get back into shape if I want to impress the ladies.
Then you go through the snow and fight some more bears, dive-bombing birds, wolves, and bear traps. Are the bear traps enchanted too? You know, I used to be a vegetarian, but now I long for the taste of blood. The worst part of the stage is trying to jump across falling platforms. The game doesn't have the best jumping controls, and the Beast is kind of a big sprite, so landing on tiny platforms can be a bit difficult. It's not the worst platforming I've ever played, but it's not very good either. Also, they have obligatory aerial enemies to fuck up your jumps, like any hard-as-balls platformer. Then you fight a wolf, which, hey, that actually happens in the movie, and, Belle? Is that you? You're not looking like yourself. You alright? You're looking a little stiff. Then another minigame where you catch falling petals. Cool. The next few stages are basically just endurance rounds where you throw villagers into your enchanted servants and watch some fun animations. I like that the Ottoman dog and the coat rack get in on the fun. I always liked those guys. Then there's another minigame where you just jump around and collect jewels. Why? You're in Beast's castle. Aren't these his treasures? Don't they belong to him already? Why would he need to collect his own stuff in his own house? Video game logic at its finest. After that, you're at the last regular level, and holy shit is it ridiculous! You're trying to ascend your way up the castle to get to Gaston, but the entire time, there's arrows and fireballs and bricks flying at you. It never stops! Not to mention you have to jump your way up platforms, some of which disappear and don't come back unless you leave the screen. I hate that. And just for good measure, they bring the bats back too. Good. This stage is impossible. Even with infinite health, you can still die by falling, and for some reason the floor just disappears the higher you get. Even though you were standing on it like 2 seconds ago, it's no longer on the screen, so it's gone. Typical video game bullshit. Finally, you fight Gaston. He jumps around and stabs at you every so often, but mostly he just runs away. No one hits like Gaston, matches wits like Gaston, no one runs from the Beast like a bitch like Gaston. But then he laughs at you when he lands a hit. Asshole. Well, you know what they say. You are what you eat. Hey, I knocked him in the pit. Do I win? Oh, I guess not. I fall in the pit, I have to start the stage over, but if the bad guy falls in the pit, he just comes back. Even though falling is how he dies in the movie.
For the last time, we did not order a giant trampoline. You know, pal, you could have told me that before I set it up.
Whatever, I punch him enough and he dies soon. Then there's this really bizarre final stage where you have to find and touch all your servants before your health depletes. Even when cheating, your health still goes down. They give you such little time to do this, too. Oh, come on, she's right there! Then the credits roll, and that's it.
Overall, it's not the worst game I've ever played, but it's not very good either. It's incredibly difficult, a lot of times in really unfair ways, and compared to other contemporary games at the time, like Disney's Aladdin or The Lion King, you're better off just sticking with those. Unless you really want to see that bear again.
Just fucking look at it!
As I mentioned earlier, released alongside Roar the Beast was Belle's Quest. Now this one was supposed to be more for girls, as it's less action-oriented and more puzzle-oriented.
The first stage has you walking around the village, avoiding Gaston, and trying to reach the bookstore. Here you play a minigame where you catch falling books. Because this is what little girls play video games for, right? Catching books with their heads? That seems right. After that distraction, you end up at a boulder stuck in the road, and you have to go convince Gaston to help you move it. Never mind that you were just avoiding him 5 minutes ago. Now you need help from his egotistical ass. After that, you end up in the dark, spooky woods. This part is a giant maze. You go this way, you go that way, you run into giant boars, and more fucking bats! If you manage to not get stuck in the maze for 50 years like I did, you'll get to the castle and play a minigame where, okay, it's over. Alright. Moving on. And then it's another maze inside the castle. You have to find keys and open doors, and I'm starting to really lose my patience. Were kids really supposed to enjoy this? The best part is watching Belle jump across balconies, mostly because her jumping animation is really funny. Look at her go! Ah, goddamn bat! Then you do some dancing. It looks nice, I guess? Gotta include the dancing scene for the girls you see. Once that's finished, Belle decides to go try and save her father in the woods, and now you're on Philippe, jumping over cliffs and bear traps. This part is actually really hard. The mazes were just annoying, but this is legitimately difficult. What kind of kid in 1993 was supposed to be able to beat these games? Thankfully, this is the last stage in the game. After that, you just play the dancing scene again, and that's it. Well done, Belle. You beat the game.
Overall, this game's not terrible, but I didn't really find myself enjoying it that much. The mazes are just frustrating, and the final stage with Philippe is way too hard. I like the beginning parts where you're exploring the village and talking to people. If it was more of a point-and-click game, I think it actually would have fared better. As it is now, it's fine, but it's really forgettable. There must be more than these provincial games. Let's see what the Nintendo consoles have to offer.
Beauty and the Beast for Super Nintendo. Once again, you play as the Beast and punch the shit out of bats, rats, and spiders. Seriously, why are these tiny-ass animals so effective against the badass Beast? The cool thing about this game is that the Beast can climb up walls, except when he can't. He can also pull himself up ledges, except when he can't. Actually, I take it back, it's not cool. The game just changes the rules whenever it wants, usually at the most inconvenient of times to make sure you die, and you will die a lot. Because just like Roar of the Beast, this game is hard, and a lot of that challenge actually comes from how bad the controls are. They're hard to explain, but they feel really stiff. The Beast's jump just doesn't act the way you would expect from a platforming game like this, especially compared to other platformers on the SNES. It doesn't help that the stages are designed to be as obnoxious as possible, with spikes everywhere and falling chandeliers that hurt you even when they're already on the ground. A moment of silence, please, for the servant that became that chandelier.
I will remember you.
Oh, actually, no, fuck that. Apparently the servants hate Beast in this game because they're constantly attacking you. Candles, brooms, books. I mean, I guess I'd be pretty pissed at him too if he got me transformed into a knight's helmet by being a dick to some old lady. The first boss in the game is a gargoyle statue that can fly. I think that servant actually got an upgrade, personally. This is one of the most annoying bosses I've ever fought. You're only allowed to stand on these 3 tiny platforms because there's spikes everywhere else. Somebody needs to fire this castle's interior designer. Most of the stages take place inside the castle, but they all look like dungeons to me. I think the graphics are really good, but it gets really repetitive. Eventually you get to the snowy forest where you fight the wolves. It's a nice change of scenery, but it's just more shitty platforming and more fucking bats! Also frogs. The Beast can't even handle tiny little ice frogs. Some hero. Where am I supposed to go? I guess I just need to jump and... Great. I can't swim. Great. Alright, fuck it. I'm cheating my way to the end. Oh look, the final boss is Gaston. Surprise. At least LeFou gets to be in this one. That's neat. Good for him.
Overall, I think this one is actually pretty bad. The graphics are better than the Genesis games, and the music actually comes from the movies, so that's nice, but controls are really bad, and the stage design is just annoying. It's not fun to play. There's a reason nobody ever brings this one up when they talk about classic video games based on movies. There's also a version of the same game on the NES released in 1994, but only in Europe, and because of that, it goes for some pretty high prices on eBay, and I don't actually own any copies of it. I'm legit. I own 4 copies of it. See? 4 Beauty and the Beasts.
The NES version is more or less a watered-down version of the Super Nintendo game, except the Beast uppercuts the shit out of bats. Somehow, this version actually manages to be even worse. The controls are beyond stiff. Jumping as the Beast is about as clunky as you'd imagine the Beast jumping in real life would be. Every time he lands, it takes an hour for him to start moving again. It's atrocious. But if you attack in midair right before landing, it cancels the landing lag. Pro strats for a 23-year-old crappy NES game. The ability to roar is in this game, and it causes enemies to freeze momentarily, but mostly it just looks silly. I like to make the Beast dance to the music. The second stage is like a maze of stairs. I have no idea where to go most of the time because everything looks the same. I do find it humorous that the Beast runs faster downstairs than he does going upstairs. Look at this long-ass stride he takes.
I'm headed downtown, cruising through the alley, tiptoeing in the street like ballet.
He should be just as fast both ways. I mean, he was transformed as a child, so maybe he has that childlike mentality where running downstairs is fun for some reason. Whee! I can't actually figure out how to beat the third stage, and honestly, this game is pretty shitty. Maybe not the worst NES game ever made, but I can't stand playing it any longer. I'd love to see what 8-bit Gaston looks like, but I'll just look it up on YouTube. I'm done with this one.
Also released in 1994 was Beauty and the Beast, Be Our Guest for the MS-DOS. I honestly didn't even know this one existed until I decided to do this video. Did you know there was also an Oliver & Company game for the DOS? Weird. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop this guy in and take a look at what the fuck is this? How the fuck does this even work? Does it go? What do I do with this? How does it? Oh.
So the story in this one is that the enchanted objects are getting ready for the ball they're preparing for Belle and Beast, and they need your help, presumably because half of them don't have hands. What this amounts to is just a series of minigames. There's a memory game with Cogsworth, a memory game with Babette the Feather Duster, a sort of platforming game with Lumiere where you collect cherries, I think? I don't know, it's weird. There's a game with Mrs. Potts where you have to guide an egg to a pan by setting off different traps and tricks. This one probably is the best and most complex of the games. I know this would have pissed me off as a kid. It's fun though. The game with the wardrobe I honestly can't figure out how to play. Things just flash when I click on them and then they tell me I'm not fast enough and to try again. I don't get it. I'm kind of surprised by how good this game looks. The graphics are great. All the characters look like themselves, and there's some legitimate animation in here. I'm pretty sure it's rotoscoped, but it looks damn good. It also has all the music from the movie. Just why the mob song is playing during the wardrobe minigame, I couldn't tell you, though I'd like to come at that minigame with a small angry mob myself. I don't like what I don't understand. In fact, it scares me, and that game is mysterious at least. Make me look bad at a game made for 4-year-olds, will ya?
That's pretty much all there is to this one. You know, for what it is, it's not bad. I mean, it's just a bunch of minigames. I think for a kid who liked Beauty and the Beast in 1994 and had a PC, he probably would have loved it. Next we have Beauty and the Beast, a board game adventure for the Game Boy Color. Now, I just want you to take a look at this cover. Yeah, just take a look at this cover real quick. This is the scene in the movie where the Beast gets attacked by wolves while trying to rescue Belle. It is literally the most action-oriented scene in the entire film, and it is attached to a game called A Board Game Adventure. Brilliant.
Well, finally, it's the Game Boy's time to shine. Over 10 years I've been rusting, needing so much more than dusting. Oh, come on! The plot of this game is that Gaston has gotten that angry mob together and is off to kill the Beast. You, as Belle, have to make it to the Beast before Gaston does, and you do this by playing a board game. I'm sure that's accurate to how it happened in the film. All it is Mario Party Lite. You roll a dice, and depending on the space you land on, you play a different minigame. There's matching games, a memory game, a trivia game to show off how much you know about the film. Ignore that one. There's a few different action games, like this one where you have to jump over wolves and avoid more fucking bats as Belle on Philippe. There's also this game where you have to avoid wolves as the Beast, and it just looks silly. Look at him jump! This game kind of reminds me of the Game & Watch Gallery games. It's actually not bad. There's only a handful of minigames, though, so it does get repetitive. I must have played that damn shooting gallery game at least 8 times. Graphically, this looks great for the Game Boy Color. The sprites are nice and detailed, they're well animated, they look really good. Ah! Except for that one! Never make that face again! Never make that face again!
This is a really strange game, but just like the DOS game, I actually think it's a pretty fun little collection of minigames. I mean, it was obviously intended for kids, but for what it is, it's not bad. It looks really good, too. I kind of like this one. Is that weird? Finally, we have Beauty and the Beast, Magical Ballroom for the PC. This was released in the year 2000, so it actually has a disc and not whatever Eldritch abomination that DOS game came on. Oh yeah, stick your disc in me. Okay, that's it. That joke is just gross. I didn't sign up for this. I'm out of here. I now cancel that joke. Finish it.
So the story here is that Belle and the servants are putting on a surprise party for the Beast, and you have to help them because they are incapable of doing anything by themselves as usual. Basically, it's just another set of very simple minigames. There's not a lot to say about this one. There's a Guess Who type game where Cogsworth and Lumiere give you clues, and you have to guess which Disney character they're talking about. This one is kind of strange because it features a bunch of older, more obscure characters like Mr. Toad, Alan Adale from Robin Hood, and that Dragonfly from The Rescuers, among others. But again, it's just Guess Who, so if you like Guess Who, you'll like this, I guess? The Mrs. Potts game is the most involved and also the most difficult for some reason. You have to set up these place settings according to the instructions, but instead of just clicking on things in the right order like I was expecting, you have to drop them from the shelf and time them to fall properly on the placemat, which are constantly rotating. It's hard to get the timing right. Nothing makes me more depressed than being incompetent at a game made for 3-year-olds. Well, maybe not nothing. Then there's an art room where you just randomly color stuff and stick stickers all over things. I feel like every kid's game for PC in the early 2000s had something like this.
Fantastic! That's a wonderful picture.
The final minigame involves preparing for the ball. You get to choose Belle's outfit, set up the steps for the dance, and pick which instrument these 3 servants are going to play. Can you imagine what life must be like being this chair? Living out your existence being constantly sat on, likely by a giant 500-pound hairy beast man? What a miserable hell this guy has to go through on a daily basis. But hey, he can play the accordion, so that's cool. Then you watch the dance, and the game asks you to do it all again. That's it. This one is obviously made for little kids, so maybe they'd get some enjoyment out of it, but I think this one is really boring. The games aren't a lot of fun, and the characters never shut up.
Look at Bo!
Every 2 seconds, you're interrupted by somebody cheering you on or explaining something when all you want to do is color some shit.
You're quite an artist.
I appreciate that it does feature full voiceover work, and it seems to be most of the original actors, but geez, just let me play the game!
Let's see what I've got in my drawers.
Also, it gives me a runtime error every time I go to a new screen because it's 2017, and this game was made for PCs the size of small houses, so I think I'm done with this game.
That's pretty much it for all the Beauty and the Beast games I could find, at least based on the Disney version. Now, of course, the Beauty and the Beast characters have been in a ton of other Disney-themed games, like Kingdom Hearts, the Disney Magical Worlds games on the 3DS, a bunch of mobile games like Disney Emoji Blitz and Tsum Tsum and the Enchanted Tales game, and there's been like a half a dozen princess games that Belle's been in, but, you know, I don't have time to cover all those. This video's already going to be like 40 hours long, so I'm cutting off right there. This is the last one I'm going to talk about, so that's it. That's the Beauty and the Beast games. Yep. Why did I do this again? Oh yeah, that fucking live action movie. God damn it, why is Lumiere shaped like a man? God, fuck.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hey, thanks for watching this video I made. If you liked it, you should go ahead and hit that thumbs up button to let me know that you like it. And also comment so that I know that you like it. And maybe subscribe, you know, stay a while. Hey, there might be a video every couple of months or so. You never know. This video took me forever to make. I wanted to get it out before the movie came out. And now it's looking like it's going to be on the day the movie comes out. And I'm lucky I got it done that much. Let me tell you, I've been sick and dying and just been working on it for fucking ever. You don't need to know that. You don't need my life story. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you so much.